It is said that Soundwave can hear a fly sneeze. He uses anything he hears for blackmail to advance his status. A true opportunist, Soundwave is despised by all other Decepticons, yet also feared and respected, due in no small part to his genuine loyalty to Megatron. It is whispered that Soundwave is the closest thing that Megatron has to a friend. He carries a concussion blaster gun as his weapon. Cold, calculating, and aloof, Soundwave is able to read minds by monitoring electrical brain impulses. From up to 1,000 miles away, he acts as a radio link for his fellow Decepticons, as he locates and identifies Autobots. This does not, however, prevent him from often becoming a target of retaliation and resentment from his comrades. Soundwave has the ability to mass shift, allowing him to alter his size when he transforms himself. This ability also applies to his cassette tape counterparts. The toy itself originated from Takara's Microchange line, and was known then as Cassette Man. In 1984, along with other characters, he was imported by Hasbro. Just as Prowl's was to the Autobots, Soundwave's head served as the inspiration for the original Decepticon symbol. In the Marvel comics, surprisingly, Soundwave was rarely seen, and almost never drawn or colored in the same way. Often seen as purple, and sometimes without his face mask. In the UK comic, however, he often uses abilities of manipulation to pit Decepticons against one another, and on several occasions became the leader himself. For a full year, he hosted the letters page at the back of the comic book, answering fans' questions in character. Weird, but cool. Other versions of Soundwave include a non-transforming Action Master figure, and a character named Soundwave was added to the Beast Wars line. However, this character had nothing to do with the original Soundwave. He was a mutant that would transform from alligator to bat without a robot form. Years later, he was also seen as a stealth bomber, with a version of Laserbeak that would transform into a bomb. In Transformers the Animated Series, he was a musical robot toy that evolves from the power of the Allspark, and he wielded musical instrument versions of both Laserbeak and Ratbat that he could use as sonic weapons. In the live-action Transformer movies, Soundwave was seen as both a communication satellite as well as a Mercedes sports car, and he met his fate at the hands of Bumblebee. Oh, spoilers. In Transformers Prime, he was a stealth drone. The list goes on, and I could be here forever talking about this guy because frankly, he's just so damn cool. Soundwave was in fact such a beloved character that he, along with his cassette counterparts, survived all 3 seasons of the series, as well as the Transformers movie in 1986, where all of his contemporaries were gunned down as their toys were being discontinued from retail. Spoiler alert! After Transformers ended in America, it continued on in Japan in the Headmaster series. Soundwave and his nemesis Blaster have a battle to the death. Both Soundwave and Blaster die and then are reborn as new characters with new color schemes. Sound Blaster and Twincast, respectively. In some newer mythologies, Sound Blaster is in fact a different character altogether from Soundwave, and they both exist in the same world side by side. All other versions aside, the classic Soundwave, with his cool modulated voice provided by Frank Welker, makes him one of the most iconic and memorable Transformers of all time. Even the most casual fan remembers the one that turned into a tape deck.
As you command, Megatron.
Ravage operates best alone. A creature of the night, craftiest of all Decepticons. He is adept at devising deadly new strategies. He remains aloof from others, but his deeds command their respect. Ravage can virtually escape detection by emitting an electromagnetic shield. This allows him to move soundlessly as he walks, disappearing in subdued light or shadow. He carries 2 powerful heat-seeking missiles, but because he is light-sensitive, Ravage can easily be blinded. All confusion aside, Ravage transforms from cassette tape to jaguar. He is in fact feline, not canine. Ravage has also been known to transform into a Cybertronian data disk, as well as a working thumb drive. And he's even transformed into a Jaguar sports car. Wink wink. In Marvel Comics, Ravage was famously defeated in a one-on-one battle with Skids when he fell down a mine shaft, only to be revived years later by earthquakes. In the UK comic, Ravage was a fallen bodyguard of one of the last Autobot overlords. This was before he defected and became one of the first ever Decepticons. Ravage also appeared in the sequel series Beast Wars, and this Ravage was in fact the original Ravage in a completely new body. Taking the form of an animal-humanoid hybrid, he travels back to prehistoric Earth to hunt down Predacon fugitive, Megatron, when he later learned that the new Megatron was acting out a plan to alter time so the original Megatron would have won the war all along. Once he learns this, he aligns himself with the new Megatron's plan, and is even seen transforming into a cassette tape once again. Laserbeak takes pleasure in hunting his prey, usually the straggling survivors of a battle. Noticeably not brave, he will flee for safety if threatened. He flies at speeds up to 250 miles per hour, and uses 2 independently targetable laser cannons with extreme precision to get information from captives. However, shortages of ruby crystals that power his laser cannons can panic his systems into shutting down. Although Laserbeak was featured as Soundwave's right-hand bird, he was packaged along with a blue Frenzy, and Soundwave was packaged with none other than Buzzsaw, who does not appear in the first season. In the original comic book, Laserbeak was utilized more in his role as an interrogator, and survived for quite some time, unlike other Decepticons who were being discontinued. However, like many others, he was taken offline during the infamous Underbase saga. There was a Laserbeak in Beast Wars, however, just used to maintain the trademark on the name. There was even once a triple-changing Autobot named Laserbeak. This version would transform from a video camera to bird to blaster pistol. Buzzsaw is civil and sophisticated, yet very cruel and destructive. He approaches his lethal tasks like a fine artist. Each deadly mission is like working on a new masterpiece. He can pinpoint and photograph a thumbtack from 20 miles away. Like Laserbeak, he flies at speeds up to 250 miles per hour, and carries twin mortar cannons. His diamond-hard micro-serrated beak can carve up almost any opponent. Due to his large ego, however, he will often sulk rather than proceed if plans go astray. Because Laserbeak got more screen time than Buzzsaw in the original cartoon, he conveniently slipped into his role as the Decepticon spy. It was both Laserbeak and Ravage, however, who were included in the live-action Michael Bay movies, with distinctly unique designs. It is important to note that in both comic adaptations, animal cassettes were given sentient personalities, and could speak the same language as their comrades. However, in the G1 cartoon, there is only one rare instance where Ravage is seen speaking, and that is only because he is able to speak through Soundwave.
The rocket base is 140 kilometers due west of the Autobot camp.
Rumble is your basic street punk. Small, but always acting tough. Possessing a quick temper and mean disposition, he follows Megatron's orders eagerly. Rumble transmits low-frequency ground waves to create powerful earthquakes. His small size limits his physical strength, but his ability to shatter the ground makes him difficult to approach in a fight. If Frenzy needed to breathe, war would be his oxygen. He knows no cause, only craves to spread fear and destruction. His efforts are appreciated by other Decepticons. However, his devotion to warfare makes him hard to deal with on a personal level. He can roll his drums to produce a high-pitched grating sound of 200 decibels. This in turn disorients and disrupts the electrical flow in his opponent's circuitry, which causes them to malfunction. Unfortunately for Frenzy, he is physically weak, and his manic attacks can be countered with cool logic. Although Rumble is featured more often than Frenzy in the original cartoon, Frenzy is the only one of these two to be featured in the live-action Michael Bay movies. Again, a very unique conceptual design, this version of Frenzy was seen sneaking aboard Air Force One while it was occupied by President George W. Bush. A third version of this figure was imported by Hasbro, but was never released initially. Over time, fans have jokingly referred to him as Enemy. Now having a place in ongoing G1 lore, Enemy's name originated from this obscure product license out to Anasta in the 1980s. This talking radio toy simply listed itself as Decepticon Enemy. Of course, after these, there were many more tapes that came out for Soundwave, including Beastbox, Flipsides, Gargoyle, Glit, Howlback, Overkill, Ratbat, Slugfest, Squawk Talk, Sundoor, and Wing Thing. Not all of these appeared in the cartoon, in fact most of them never did, having been made after American episodes stopped being produced. But before I digress into the rabbit hole that is the Japanese continuation of this series, let's wrap up this episode.